Hi there. Hi, it's Luna Michaels, Esoteric Astrologer. I'm here today to talk to you about Capricorns. And if you are a Capricorn, of course you know that your sun sign is Capricorn, you're Capricorn. You also will relate to this video if you have your moon sign in Capricorn, your rising sign could be Capricorn, or you could have a very strong Saturn. It's a strong Saturn. Saturn is the planet that rules Capricorn. And if you have Saturn, for instance, near your sun sign, it could be on your rising sign. You could have Saturn near a bunch of other planets in your chart, your moon and Mercury or something like that. You'll relate to Capricorn stuff. Also, if you have a bunch of planets in the 10th house of your chart, on the top of your chart, that would also be Capricorn-like. So let's see. Capricorns, I think, are one of the toughest signs. I think Capricorn and Scorpio get the toughest rap in astrology, you know? And Capricorn really is a funny sign. I mean, I think you would all know if you're Capricorn, there's a dry, sarcastic wit, a bit of a gallows humor or something. And there really is can be a good sense of humor. Often it's at the expense of yourself, which can be something we'll talk about. You know, the thing about Capricorn is it's about the mountain of spiritual growth. And one of the things here, I have a few books here. I've shown you before The Labors of Hercules, which is a great book by Alice Bailey. I don't know if you can see that. It has a different story for each astrological sign and the mystical meaning of each sign. Then there's also, really hard to read, Esoteric Astrology by Alice Bailey. It's very complicated. But some of the information comes from there. And this idea of Capricorn being either the top of the heap or the bottom of the heap kind of comes from that idea of the mountain goat going up that mountain. You know, Capricorns often feel like they're covered in rubble at the bottom of the mountain, you know, and the idea is to really feel you can be on the top of that mountain and be all that your soul is desiring to be. And partly that comes from humility, because you can be a very evolved soul and still have imperfections. I think Capricorns are really dogged by that sense of perfectionism. So the idea of true humility is really important for Capricorn, loving yourself even with flaws, and knowing that those flaws can make you seem approachable to other people and be able to serve humanity and connect with people. If you're too perfect, people aren't going to confide in you or want to be your friend maybe because they're intimidated by you, or they think you don't have needs and they're not going to feel like they can interact with you because you've got it all together, you know. So Capricorns need to come to peace with having wounds and having flaws, and see that that can be very lovable. So you can be at the top of the mountain even if you feel like you're a chump or something. So that's what I mean about humility, is that your flaws could be the thing that brings you closer to people, or brings you deeper to God, whatever you feel God is. So to not say, this is a bad part of me, you know, this could be the greatest thing for you. So here's a little thing out of Esoteric Astrology that talks about, and the part of the body Capricorn rules is the knees and the joints, but especially the knees. So it says here, Capricorn rules the knees, and this is symbolically true. For only when the Capricorn learns to kneel in all humility and with his knees upon the rocky mountaintop, offers his heart and life to the soul and to human service, can he be permitted to pass through the door of initiation and be entrusted with the secrets of life. Only on his knees can he get through that door. And it's kind of like that idea we talked about with Scorpio of being on the knees and surrendering to the higher self. And for Capricorn to say, I'm just going to trust that everything about me is spiritual, is helping me evolve, and let it go. Like, stop picking on yourself. Stop this sense of cruelty to yourself, because you're wonderful to others. More than likely, you're just lovable to everyone else and their flaws. You know, and that makes me... I was talking to a Capricorn client recently, and there's this idea that Capricorns often have of a sense of something looming over them. There's always this kind of, you know, because Saturn and Capricorn represent authority figures, So there can be that sense of, there's always somebody looking over your shoulder. You're messing it up. Stop it. And this kind of, you're doing it wrong. And why are you doing that? And this feeling inside. So there's that sense of looming. But what you want to do through meditation, through working on self-love, is to transform that into a sense of being lovingly guided. You're never going to shake the feeling there's someone over your shoulder looking what you're doing, because that's just kind of Capricorn. But to feel that it's a loving teacher who put their hand on your shoulder and say, good job on that thing you're doing, and to have that or in you, or to say, oh, that's great, and you could do this, and it's even going to be a better, paper or project, whatever you're working on, and how you wouldn't feel sunk if someone you really trusted, put their hand on your shoulder and said, what you doing? So to be able to get to that point, instead of feeling like, oh God, I'm in trouble, or I'm always screwing up, just to work with meditation and self-love to get to that point. That's an important point. And one of the things I wrote down here to talk about was Capricorns often feel lonely. There's just that sense, if you think of the planet Saturn that represents Capricorn, there's the planet of Saturn, and then there's the rings of Saturn, which we find out now are like ice chunks, which kind of fits if you're a Capricorn, like, oh yeah, that's me. But to feel, instead of that sense of separation that Capricorns so often experience, to feel, to go past that, and to feel through meditation that you do belong to the group, that you are unconditionally loved. But it's almost like you have to come from the inside and melt those ice rings through that sense of meditation and connection, and forging that sense of connection with others and within your own self. So kind of repeating myself, but kind of in a different way there. But that sense of loneliness can be shifted. And also something extremely important to know. Saturn itself has approximately a 30-year orbit. You know about a Saturn return. That's a big thing for anybody, let alone Capricorn. So Saturn returns are when your own Saturn comes back to where it was, and it's about 30 years, 28 and 3/4 years kind of. But for Capricorn people, Capricorn is about wisdom and age, and Capricorns tend to feel a lot happier as they get older. That first Saturn cycle for Capricorns can be especially doom and gloomy, and there's a lot of karma to overcome, and not that everyone doesn't have karma, but it can feel like a bigger burden. And then you get from your second Saturn cycle, 30 to 60 or 58, whatever, and you're feeling, hey, I've been around the track, I get this, I'm seeing this. And then even that third Saturn cycle of 60 to 90 is like, got this, And Capricorns tend to be happier and happier as they get older. They look a lot younger when they're older than a lot of other signs. So that's always something to look forward to with Capricorn, that it's always getting better. And you can see a lot of famous Capricorns. One of my favorite examples is David Bowie, who had so many doom and gloom songs when he was in his 20s, and it was all about time and depression, the end of the world and stuff. And now he's in his 60s and just seems so happy and well adjusted. And of course, there's great art when you're tormented, I suppose. But I always think of Capricorns just kind of lightening up when they get older, and not being so grim and dour and such. So there's a lot to look forward to as Capricorn. Goals are extremely important for Capricorns. That could be goals at work, goals of self-improvement, spiritual goals. But again, to treat yourself lovingly with those. To know that Capricorns always do need some sort of inspiration, or else you can get depressed. That's kind of the key with Capricorn. You want to have that goal, and you want to stimulate yourself to grow, but you don't want to feel like everything's always out of your reach. And the moment you do something, oh, you're no good because you didn't do that. Well, you just set the new goal. Give yourself a break. You want to celebrate each goal you attain, but just keep yourself motivated, but not a sense of being like a slave driver to yourself. Because without goals, Capricorns tend to get pretty depressed, But you can feel depressed too if the goals are too hard or too severe. So there's that balance point. I wanted to talk, let's see, there was another one. Oh, about the intuition for Capricorn. This is also from Esoteric Astrology by Alice Bailey. In Capricorn, the soul or the person learns to realize the meaning of the growing light, which greets his progress as he climbs upward to the mountaintop. The flashes of intuition change into the blazing and constant light of the soul. The light of the personality and the light of the soul blend. So I think that's part of that idea as Capricorns get older, that you're climbing up that mountain, there's more light on you, you're feeling happier, you're feeling more spiritual connection, you're losing that sense of separation that you come in with as a Capricorn. And that's probably major part of your soul's purpose, is to overcome that sense of separateness, you know. And of course, all begins from meditation, feeling that connection. You know, spiritually, this idea of getting to the mountaintop, this just happens to be a Christian sort of idea of this, but you know, in Christian theology, you know, well, not Christian theology, but in the Bible, Jesus, you know, takes 3 disciples and he goes up to the mountaintop, and they see him in his unveiled aspect of that Christ sense, just pow, you know, it's called the Transfiguration on the Mount. And the disciples, they get blasted back by this light and force of Jesus saying, this is my spiritual self, bam, you know. So this idea of Capricorn is getting to the top of that mountain and just, yes, this is me, this is my highest self. And that's where we say that could be very surprising. What is that highest transfiguration for Capricorn? But know that as a Capricorn, you have that in you. You are that highest light. No matter how much you're not seeing it or experiencing it, it is there, and to know that's part of your life journey, to continually move toward feeling that all the time, you know, knowing it's been with you all the time, that sense of spiritual pow, you know. Let's see, what else did I want to say? Releasing the struggle. Oh, praising yourself. Yes, that's just enormous for Capricorn. Spiritual affirmations, loving affirmations sound sort of dorky, and you'll probably roll your eyes when you say them. But get that into you, you know, and really maybe have some meditation tapes that have affirmations, even if they seem dorky. Just listen to them and kind of brainwash yourself that you're pretty awesome, because you are. The last thing was, there is this sense with Capricorn about service. And in the Labors of Hercules book, Hercules is seen as the, you know, the soul that's craving to evolve in all sorts of ways. So he's getting these 12 labors, which represent the 12 signs. And his labor in Capricorn was freeing Prometheus, you know, the character that took light from the gods, fire from the gods, and brought it to earth. Well, he's in the underworld, which isn't really hell in the Greek mythology, but Hades needs to descend into the underworld to save Prometheus, who kind of represents all of humanity. And there's this idea that no matter how evolved Capricorn gets, that it wants to be in and connecting with those who are suffering. And there was a little piece here just to read about that. That as Hercules is getting his instructions for this labor, it says, "Unto Prometheus, O Hercules, you are asked to be a savior. Go down into the depths, and there upon the outer planes release him from his suffering." So there's this idea of Capricorn connecting with others, because you've suffered, you can free others from your suffering. And you can help others to see the good in them, see the good within the suffering moment, and to help them heal, and to give them faith that they are moving toward this higher and higher peak, that life isn't all crap or whatever. So there's that idea for Capricorn that you're not just attaining wisdom and spiritual awareness for yourself, but then to be able to kind of go down into, you know, people that haven't had that evolved of a consciousness, and let them know they have this too, and to bring them that hope. So also for Capricorns, just eating well is always good. Watching out for joints, not pushing yourself really hard with exercise stuff. Capricorns tend to have knees, elbows, and back stuff. And just knowing if you do get some of those things, there tends to be too much driving of yourself, and being gentle and treating your body well with good nutrition is always a positive thing. So I hope you got something out of this, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.